Welcome to another episode of Getting Real in the Field with Keck Tay and JP Fluellen. This is the show where we talk about all things follow-up, being productive and spending less time in front of our computers, and being more productive in the field where we all make all of our money, doing the things that we love to do and not doing the things that we hate. Because realtors do not like making phone calls, follow up, and all of that other junk that doesn't make us productive. And this is the show where we also talk about what is trending, what people are doing, and where you can get your leads. And today we are going to talk about Facebook and paid lead generation. And that is, I feel, that's how actually I got started. Actually, was I built my entire business on online lead generation. So, you ready to kick this off, Keck?
Sure. So, folks, good evening or good morning, or what time is it now? It is evening. So, yes, today we're going to cover we've been covering really lead gen, what you can do for free, right? And now we're talking about social media. And this is the area where I work with a lot of clients with on this topic, right? And we will talk about Facebook. So to kick things off, really, a couple of things that you've talked about last week, kind of refresh everybody's memory, is that we talked about doing social media, posting on Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn, whatever is your favorite platform of choice, to do it consistently and to be able to kind of share your your activities, show how you're involved, what homes you've sold or what you're listing. Even if you're just around town, those are things that you can do for free. So tonight, we're going to cover about what can you do to kind of start generating leads yourself. So a couple of low cost items, and we'll build up to kind of lead gen as well too. From a Facebook perspective, when you post something, let's say a house for sale, and you want to get leads out of it, you can boost those postings for free, or not for free, for minimal cost, right? Those are very inexpensive that you can do to get people to draw them over to your site and then to kind of go to your website and kind of get more eyeballs, especially when you are listing a home. JP, you've done a lot of those yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing Facebook and online lead generation since I got in the business. It was before it was called e-leads back in the day.
Yep.
And this was old. So this was like before Facebook was really kicking off the Facebook ads. This was just running some basic, and they didn't even call it PPC back then. I think it was just Google Ads or something, Google AdWords or whatever. But yeah, so what I found is that boosting is really good for like brand awareness, things like that.
Yep.
Get a lot of eyeballs on something really, really fast, and in drawing a large crowd so that you can get a lot of traction quickly. But it doesn't necessarily get you like actual leads, leads that are actually actionable leads.
Yeah.
So it's really good for like if you're doing an open house, or if you had a nice change in your business, like, hey, I just became a realtor, you might want to just boost that ad so you can get a lot of eyeballs letting you know you made a change. Or if you're switching brokerages, things like that, where you're not necessarily lead generating, but you're more for awareness. And also Twitter is really good for that too. Twitter is like a news place. So Twitter is the equivalent of, like, I would say, like boosting an ad on Facebook. So.
Yeah. Okay. So on that, yeah, I would agree with you. And when you list a home or you just sold a home, that's great for boosting. I think that gets eyeballs. It gets you recognition in the marketplace with your community. Now, a couple of things about like Facebook that I would share with you. There's different kinds of ads that you can put on Facebook to what we call lead generation, right? And you can create a lead form to collect a lead's phone number, email address, and their contact information. But there's more of an art and a science to this when you're doing Facebook ads. And one of the things that we typically do, and I'll share with you a couple of tips and tricks as well too. I share this with a lot of my clients that I work with. I'm going to share this with you tonight. Let me share my screen here and kind of talk a little bit about this. So when I talk about marketing, and when I talk to my clients, this is one of my ads, my slides that I share with my clients, is that, there are multiple stages when you're doing marketing. It's not just hey, I put an ad one time and that's enough, right? You've got to be able to build your brand. And you've talked about that a number of times already, JP, and I 100% agree with that. You have to build your brand because people buy from people that they like and that they trust. And when people go to Facebook, you've got one huge advantage that I would recommend about Facebook. And I'll talk about some shortcomings as well too. On Facebook, I think you will hit people who are early in the buying cycle, right? They're not 100% ready yet. And that's an advantage because you will hit them compared to, people who are right in Zillow, because you're competing with Zillow at that point in time. You're getting people before they start thinking about Zillow, potentially. But the downside of this is that they're not going to be buying from you immediately or transacting or buying a house immediately. They might be like 6 months down the road. And so you have to spend the time to nurture them as well, and which is key, right? But there are multiple stages of marketing on Facebook or just marketing in general. I break it down to 3 simple stages: awareness, interest, and nurturing. There's probably usually about five or six stages that I typically look at: awareness, interest, nurture, consideration, evaluation, and then conversion too. And so those are things that, a lead typically goes through. And what we do, I would recommend for you to do, is create awareness first. Put a video of yourself, what you've done, a home that you've just recently sold, kind of build your brand up. That's the first stage. And when they see you, they'll start saying, oh, wow, I see JP Fluellen, the Titan team. They just sold this home. They sold a home just down the street from me, things like that. And that creates that awareness that piques someone's interest when they're starting to think about buying a home. Then you can do what we call in the business retargeting and pixels. Now, if this gets too complicated, you can always reach out to us. We'll help you with it, and we can talk to you about this. But retargeting is the whole notion of, JP, what's the latest thing that you just bought? Let's talk about you. What's one thing that you started shopping online?
I just bought a Apple iPad mini, the new one.
Okay. So when you start researching on the Apple iPad, did you notice that when you start going to other sites, it starts appearing, the Apple ads start appearing everywhere?
Yeah, and it'll actually do it if you start talking about stuff in front of your devices.
Has it really?
Yeah, I was talking about coaching to someone the other day, and then I started getting coaching ads on Facebook, which I'd never gotten before.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So your
That's
devices
another
are
topic.
listening to you. Yeah. Yeah. They're hearing you talk. It was the weirdest thing ever. And they all,
Okay.
everyone, anyway, that's a tangent, but they all say that they don't do that and they're lying. I'm just telling you right now, they're lying. So anyway.
There's a conspiracy theory somewhere in this one. So for what we're talking about, retargeting, right? There's a whole idea of like when you're searching for something, like what you did, JP, when you searched for the iPad, and you start seeing those ads appear when you go to other websites. Like if you go to Reddit or if you go to like CNN or some other site, you'll start seeing them appear everywhere, right? And so that's the same thing. It's called, the whole concept around that is retargeting. So you want to make sure that when you're thinking about marketing for yourself, start off with, putting an ad, talking about the services, about yourself. What did you just do? What homes that you just sold? And then you want to kind of retarget them, and if the people who saw your ad about buying a home, then send them information like, here's a guide, or here's some information of buying a home, right? Or videos, doing a quick video of snippet of a home that you're listing and so forth. And that is retargeting. And that helps your lead to kind of see you more than you are, meaning that, they'll see you everywhere. And if they see you a couple of times, they must, one of two things will happen. It's like, wow, JP must be a big real estate titan in this area because I keep seeing his ad everywhere. And it's building mind share. It's building mind share, when you build an impression on the lead. And that also is what marketing's all about. So if you do this repeatedly a couple of times, then you can ask them, hey, come to my website, drive them towards your website, and then get them to fill in the information and get their contact information at that point in time, right? If you try and do that out of sequence and you try to hammer them for like phone numbers, email addresses, and all that straight right away, guess what happens? You get lousy quality, inaccurate, fake information. If anybody hits me up for, my phone number right away, guess what number I'm going to give them? 555-1212. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
So my email address will be fred@flintstone.com because that's what you're going to get.
Oh, right? Yeah, we got Sylvester Stallone, Michael Jackson, reached out to me several times. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
You can never get rid of those, but what you can do is minimize that, and that's by first, creating an ad that kind of talks about your brand and who you are, and then you kind of retarget them, provide something of value to them that piques their interest. Why should they come back again? And then if you hit them with the retargeting the third time, send them to your website. Then you can ask them. You got to give your leads something of value, whether it be information, whether it be potential list of homes, whatever is the case. You got to give them and help them solve their problem, their pain of finding a house for a first time, selling a house. What's a definitive guide? What we do for some of our ads is provide a definitive guide to selling your home, right? Those are things that you will want to give something of value. And when there's a significant enough of value to the lead, then they'll give you the accurate information. Now, most agents stop there. And I say that's just the beginning. Because when the lead comes in, you got to follow up with them. You got to follow up with them quickly within 5 to 10 minutes of when the lead comes in. I think I try to fit, less than 5 minutes is my goal. Right. And by the way, I'm telling you, as I've been doing it for hundreds of agents, doing the marketing and doing the lead gen as well too. I mean, JP, you have your team. What do you guys do when a lead comes in from different sources like that?
Call it now. Is the time to call. And now it means that there's no time involved. Because the thing is, like, most people that are online looking for, they have ADHD when it comes to what they want. And if they don't get it now, because we're in the fast food universe now, they want it right now. And if you're not responding, they're on another site already,
Yes, totally. And you better have some technology to help you to be able to respond to them quickly, right? We'll talk more about that in later episodes as well too. I think this is like opening up a whole new can of worms. But what I want to just cover for you tonight is tip is it's multiple stages. Think of a marketing campaign. It's not just one shot, one ad. I think that a lot of people, watch on YouTube and suddenly says, oh, I can create an ad. Absolutely you can. But think about the ad and then you can test it out. But it's multiple steps that you have to do. And you've got to use the technology of Facebook to do retargeting. That's super helpful and super important. And then when the lead comes in, you've got to follow up because that's the beginning of the journey itself, of helping them to kind of follow up with them, reach out to them, try and reach out to them. Sometimes they may not pick up the phone right away. On average, just to kind of give you some ideas, on average, it takes 7 to 8 times attempts to reach out to a lead before they will even respond to you. That's the national average. Now, I don't know if you know this, JP, but on average, an agent only follows up on average 1.5 times.
So, yeah, did you know that Harvard? Have you seen the Harvard business study on all this?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so Harvard actually did a business study on this. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Okay,
but it was pretty nuts, and it was kind of depressing actually, and it's sad because there's so much so much like gold left on the table
Oh, yep.
because they're just not following up. If it was, maybe it wasn't Harvard. Let me see if there was a
I
um
will share with you one record, and I share it with, as I mentioned, like, I do help a lot of real estate agents. And I will tell you my record that I've seen for one of our agents are using our platform 28 times, followed up on 28 times with our using our AI, following up with the lead before they responded. And that one turned out to be a listing deal that closed. So that's pretty crazy. I don't know what agent would ever follow up that much, but you can see like you've got to have tenacity and in terms of nurturing and following up with your leads. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to be throwing your money down the drain.
Yep. So here it is right here. So 48% of salespeople never follow up with the prospect.
Wow.
25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop.
Yes.
12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop.
Yep.
Only 10% of people make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. And 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact.
Wow. That's significant. That's right there from the source of Harvard Business Review. That's awesome.
So it just goes to show that we all, I mean, if you want to make a splash in this business, just be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make time block, and that'll probably be another episode on just how the whole time blocking works.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you can make 100% of your sales if you're good at time blocking.
Yeah. A couple of other tips while we're on the topic of Facebook as well too. With Facebook, you have to be creative these days with Facebook, because why I say that, Facebook limits you on how you can target people. A couple of years ago, you could target age groups, even income level and stuff like that. But then, the Fair Housing Act kind of stopped and changed everything. And rightfully so, they have kind of now swung the other way, which I think is a little bit crazy, because now it's like you have to kind of open it up from ages 18 to 65-year-olds that you can target. You can't go with more specific target groups, right? So if you're trying to sell a active retirement community, active living community, tell me what 18-year-old is going to be going there, right? So it's kind of a little bit crazy on the other side. But so those are the rules within Facebook now. Not my rules, Facebook rules. And then the other thing too is that, you can limit the closest area that you can, or the most focused area is a 15-mile radius. So for your area in Cheyenne, shouldn't be a problem. But when you're talking about New York City, like Manhattan, 15 miles can stretch over to New Jersey itself too.
Right. Yeah.
So you've got to figure out, how do you overcome this? And there's a whole bunch of tricks that we will cover over time. But so those are things that you've got to be creative in what you're writing on those ads, right? What keywords you're using, what intrigues them, spell out for them. Pictures, videos are huge things that kind of grabs people's attention. And you want to make sure it grabs the right people's attention as well too, right? So those are kind of some tips and tricks that I would kind of share with you. Okay. So any more thoughts, JP?
Just, the other thing too is I would say that, Facebook ads is not for the faint of heart. Like you've got to go, you can't go in to a Facebook ad campaign with $50 or $100 and expect to get, those types of results, because these types of leads are long-term nurture leads. So they are 6 to 13 months out typically.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for some sort of quick get leads quick, hot leads quick type program, that's not it.
Yep.
Those types of leads are with other programs that you're going to spend a whole lot more money. Usually, if you want to spend money on hot leads, you're going to on average, you're spending about $500 per lead. That's hot, you
Yeah.
know. And these are just general numbers, like some, the disclaimer is results aren't typical, blah, 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 all that stuff, the legal jargon. Because
You gotta lean in.
we're
You
not
know
here
the
to
mood.
guarantee you any kind of thing, but we're speaking from experience and just basic fundamentals of real estate. And like I said, I built my business all 100% on online lead generation, and I know that to do that, they're pricey. And
Yeah, it's a good point. I would say on average, you want to spend a minimum of about $300 for Facebook ads. Now, that's a rule of thumb. That's not absolute. I always kind of check different areas and kind of see the competition as well too. And there's seasonalities as well too. You don't hear that from your marketer. You should be asking some of those questions there. How much should I be spending in general? You're right. With Facebook, people go to Facebook to check out friends, check out stuff that's going on. They're not there to go shopping for a house, but so you're hitting them, early on. And Facebook has this algorithm of people searching and looking for homes, and they will help you find those people, right? But they're usually early in the earlier stages of finding a home. If you want more hotter leads, you gotta then kind of consider, and it really depends on the market. It's not like a black and white answer that I can give you. But if you want hotter leads, I would say Google would be your better choice there, because but it's twice as expensive. It's at least twice as expensive. So we will probably cover more. We will definitely be covering more of those details as well too. But kind of want to give you a sense of like what that looks like, with Facebook. It's a good opportunity. It's a great way to kind of get leads relatively inexpensively, but it is definitely a 6 to 13 month haul on this process.
yeah, and you need a database. I mean, if you don't have any names, phone numbers, email addresses, I mean, you need a database.
Yep.
You need that stuff to fill up your database, and you need stuff to call.
Yeah.
And whether you're using a CRM that's helping you build that, or and do that for you in the background, I would say do that in addition to all the other stuff that you have going on, so that you're hitting them from multiple days and
Yes.
times and in different ways and different approaches, because everybody runs their own independent life outside of your own, and their schedules are not coinciding with your own. So you have to just mix it up a bit and try to hit them in different times, whatever, or just be consistent and then just make the call. If you're going to call from 8 to 10 every single day, at some point you're going to hit these leads at home, because they're going to be home at some point,
Yeah.
or they're going to be available to answer their cell phones or whatever the case is, and then like I said, just be consistent. I think I said this on the other podcast: consistency over time breeds results.
Yeah.
And if just like, put that on your monitor, that's your mantra, put it on your mirror in the morning when you get up, and just be consistent, and you're going to get results. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you just have to know that that's just part of the dynamics of the real estate business, and you're going to see success.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to recap for tonight. We talked about, Facebook tonight, and starting to get into paid lead gen, right? We talked about boosting your listings. I think that's a great way to kind of step into and put in a couple bucks. You don't have to do too much on that part, right? But when you start, so boosting is not a Facebook ad itself. It's just kind of pushing out there, getting people to kind of see your open house, your just listed, and so forth too, right? Those are great to get additional eyeballs on you. Then when you talk about Facebook ads, shared with you a couple of tips here, right? We're not going to get into the detail in this episode. If you need more help to want to talk more about how to create a Facebook ad, reach out to us. We're happy to kind of show you some tips and tricks on it. But, the takeaway that I would share with you is, one, there's multiple stages. You got to retarget people. You cannot just hope and and just do one ad and say that's good enough. Because I hear from a lot of agents when they do that, they get a lot of crappy leads. The second thing is follow up. The consistency that you talk about, we've got to kind of drive that consistency of making sure that you're trying to reach out to them after. And it takes at least 7 to 8 times. Those stats that you shared, mind blowing. I thought that I didn't even know all of those stats.
Yeah. And I would also say too, just to piggyback what you're saying, is 7 to 8 times of the follow-up. It's like most of the sales is 5 to 13 times after that, right? So that's 100% of your sales are going to be even beyond that. So if you follow up 25 times, you're going to get 100% of your sales. So so on top of that, also, when you're doing online lead generation, it's not a short-term thing either. Like you can't just do it for a week and then go, oh, this sucks, it doesn't work. No, it works. You just didn't work it. So also you need to do anything that you do that's different than what you've already been doing. You need to try it for at least a year. And that's my opinion. I've done the 6-month thing. I don't think 6 months is long enough, in my opinion. I try it out for 12 months. If it doesn't work and you've worked it, then you're going to either say, yes, I'm going to continue to spend money on this thing, or I'm going to shift into something else. So I have my tried and true lead generation platforms that I use. And then I also have a portion of my budget that I use to try new different lead generation things, just because we all get shiny object syndrome in real estate. So we were like, ooh, that's new. Let's try that. So you try it out for 12 months. If it doesn't work, shift those monies into something else. If it's money that you already have allocated for advertising, because we all should be treating our real estate businesses as a business. We should all have a budget for that stuff. And then we just shift monies around, and it doesn't cost in the sense of like, is it in addition to whatever else I'm spending money on? You just take that one thing that doesn't work away and add something else in. And then you'll have multiples at some point. You'll find that you'll have multiple sources of leads that work. So,
yeah, I totally agree. Okay. If you guys have questions, comments, share it with us and we'll be happy to answer. Also reach out to us. JP, your contact?
My number is 307, because I'm not afraid. 772-1184. You can text me, call me. I'm happy to chat. If you want my Calendly link, I'm happy to give you a 30-minute, free coaching session on whatever you guys want to talk about. Also, if you want to just hit me up, you can find me on Instagram, Google. I'm the only JP Fluellen on planet Earth.
That is true.
So,
the one and true Titan team in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. 100%.
And since you're egging me on, I'll give you my number too.
Oh, there it is.
I know. Here he goes. 425-740-0260. So call me if you guys have any questions, but also, as you say, hit like or subscribe below. And if you have any questions, post them below as well too.
Absolutely. Hit that alert button, because we do this each and every week. We want the content that you guys want to listen to. So we're happy to hear of any of your suggestions, and we're able to do any kind of deep dives you guys are interested in. And so that is another episode of Getting Real in the Field. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.